Hello, namaste. Thank you for joining me for another video going over yoga asanas and the process of me taking an asana, breaking it down, making it more understandable, and how I can explain it to myself, and if it makes any sense, explaining it to you. So today's asana that we will be going over is Salambha Bhujangasana. Bhujangasana. I do apologize if I'm butchering the word. And that is Sphinx pose, which is this one right here. And again, I will put a link in the description box down below of all the resources that I'm using. So if you are interested in checking any of these items out for yourself, you are more than welcome to do so. Salambha Bhujangasana. It is a back bend. According to this card, it stretches your back, opens your chest, stimulates abdominal organs, strengthens your lungs, and relieves stress. And on the back of the card, it has instructions on how you can get into this posture. And some but not all of these postures do come with a little warning bubble down at the bottom that if you have an injury or of some sort, then certain poses you would want to avoid so that you do not exacerbate the problem or the pain in that specific area. For this posture, because it is a back bend, if you have acute back injury, you would want to avoid doing Sphinx pose. Why is it called Sphinx? Well, if you can see this image, as I will demonstrate later, it looks like a sphinx, just like the one that's in Egypt with the body of the lion and the face of the human. So I wanted to see if in any of my other resources that I have also talk about Salambha Bhujangasana in more depth. And I have to say I don't have other resources that talk about Salambha, but I do that talk about Bhujangasana. And in this book, Yoga Anatomy, it is just Bhujangasana, and it is referred to as Cobra pose. Now, from my personal experience with the difference between Sphinx and Cobra, Sphinx, whenever I have had an instructor cue to get into that posture, it's something that is kind of done on its own, or maybe like as a transition posture, going from maybe lying just completely on your stomach. You're going to do a back bend, which in that case would be Sphinx, and then you're going to transition to, maybe your hands and knees, and then you're going to a downward facing dog. With Cobra pose, again, in my experience, it is also a back bending pose. There are several differences, and with this one, it is kind of seen as if you were doing sun salutation A or Surya Namaskar A, you would be going from a standing position, forward fold, halfway lift. You would come down to the floor, and you do Cobra, and then you would go immediately right up into your downward facing dog. Now there's different variations in how an instructor would cue you into that, but they are both, Sphinx and Cobra pose are both back bending poses. Outside of maybe you would be cued differently with the head position and the arm positions, everything else, from what I am reading and learning, everything else is the same. As far as what you are doing with your muscles, the muscles that you should be engaging, what should be pressing into the floor, what to, rolling your shoulders down your back, maybe relaxing your forearms, but strengthen your upper arms, your biceps and your triceps, to relax your shoulders, but bring the backs of your shoulders down, relax the muscles in your neck, pushing your pubic bone and the tops of your feet, push those down into the floor. If not your pubic bone, then your hips while you're on the floor. Push those into the floor so that you are not necessarily using your back muscle to hold your upper body up. You're using your butt, your hamstring muscles, and your thigh muscles to, in a sense, to help hold your upper body and not using your back muscles. Sort of the same where you hear someone say if you're going to lift something heavy, you should be lifting with your legs and your hips, not your back. If that makes sense. So, in this book, Yoga Anatomy, if you can see here, this is how the character or the person is drawn to be in that position. I will say, because this is also a position where you are on the floor and you are on your stomach, your breathing does come into play here, because you are, in a sense, lying on your stomach and your diaphragm, but you're also stretching that area too. It says in this book, although the standard instruction is to inhale while entering into a back bend, it can be very helpful to enter into this basic back bend on an exhalation. For many people who are locked into a belly breathing pattern, the inhalation actually restricts thoracic extension and rib cage expansion. This is because a belly breath is accomplished by resisting rib movement while the diaphragm contracts. Now, because this is Salambha Bhujangasana and this is Cobra, I wanted to see if I had anything else that was maybe something in the middle, or maybe more information on one or the other. And this is another book that I have, Teaching Yoga by Mark Stevens, or Steffens, I could be saying that wrong. Excuse me. And this one is actually going over, it just says Bhujangasana. It does, however, say, there is no picture of Bhujangasana in this book, but it does say that Bhujangasana is a deep back bend that should be explored as part of a back bending sequence. In other words, it's not something that's done on its own. Not in the steady flow of Surya Namaskar, otherwise known as sun salutations. Inhaling directly into full Bhujangasana and exhaling out does not allow students to give Bhujangasana the attention and energetic actions required to do it safely. Excuse me. Keeping the belly on the floor in Salambha B is a safe and gentle back bend that will strengthen the back muscles in the context of flowing movement. Salambha B is this posture on the bottom. And again, if you'll notice, between the three, Salambha Bhujangasana, and Salambha B, other than the placement of the head and the hands and the way the arms are, everything else is the same. Your hips or your pelvic is pressed into the floor. The tops of your feet are pressed into the floor. Strengthen your legs to help lift your upper torso off the floor. Your arms are there for support, but you're not going to dump all of your weight into your arms. And of course, this can get better. This process gets better as you go, as you gain more strength. And you can find where you are feeling the posture in your body. I will demonstrate all three of those postures on my mat, along with cues that would be used to get into the asana and to come out of, or maybe if you or if I cue you to go into another posture or asana, how that would look. So the first one would be Salambha Bhujangasana, which is Sphinx pose. Suppose you are, let's say, on your hands and knees, and I'm going to cue you to go in to move down to the floor. Several ways. I can either have you do a chaturanga, which will go from high plank down to low plank and then all the way to the floor. Or you can be on your hands and knees. High plank to low plank doing chaturanga dandasana. You would come forward and then slowly come all the way to the floor. Or it would be, tabletop position. You're going to bring your chest to the floor and then slide forward between your hands, bringing your belly to the floor. Sphinx pose. Let's say you're here, your belly is on the floor, and now we're going to press our hips into the floor, and we're going to press the top of our feet into the floor. So your knees will kind of come up off the floor, if you can see mine. Okay. So pushing your hips into the floor. So you're kind of going to bring your tailbone and push that way, and that will help as well, engaging the tops of your thighs. And push your feet into the floor. Kind of squeeze your knees, if that makes sense. Your arms are here. Roll your shoulders back and down. Relax your neck muscles. Bringing your elbows underneath your shoulders. And gently look out away from you. If this is too difficult for you and too much strain, then it's okay to bring your gaze down until you have the strength to bring your gaze out. Bhujangasana is everything from the waist down is exactly the same. The only thing different, again, is the placement of the arms, your hands, and possibly your neck and head. Again, hips pressed into the floor, squeeze your knees, press the tops of your feet into the floor. Hand, this time, will be underneath your shoulders, just a little bit down, and you're gonna push up and look out. Now in this posture, you definitely feel it more in your shoulders. Now if you are tight in your shoulders and just doing Sphinx pose is too difficult, what you can do, if it helps, is to bring your elbows out away from your body just a little bit. But in all of these postures, your elbows and your arms are close to your body and not out. And that will help support your upper body and make sure that you do not create shoulder impingement or any shoulder injury. Again, hips down, feet down. Squeeze your knees, arms slide underneath your shoulders. Squeeze your elbows into your body. Roll your shoulders back and down. And lift your upper torso up off the floor and look out. For the other example of Bhujangasana, that second posture was Salambha Bhujangasana Cobra pose, which, as I said before, would be as a transition pose, would look like this going into the transition. I'm going up, down, halfway lift. I'm going to come down onto the floor. I could go down to my knees and chest, come forward. From here, I would want to go into Cobra pose, and there are different ways to do this, but this is the easiest way. Hips down, squeeze your knees, feet down. Roll shoulders back and down, relax your neck. Hands slightly, not exactly under your shoulders, but just a little bit further behind them. Push into the floor, push your hand into the floor, lift your chest up off the floor, gaze up as high as is comfortable for you. Now, just because the picture is showing, looking all the way up to the ceiling, if that is not attainable for you, please don't do it. Don't injure yourself trying to mimic what a picture is doing or what somebody in a video is doing, even including me. You know your limits. You know the limits of your body physically. If you can't do it, it's okay. It just means that you can't do it right now. It doesn't mean that you can never do it. So again, look for where the placement of your body, certain parts of your body are. How do they feel? When you are being cued to bring your arms back here, does it hurt? If it does, why? Process of elimination. Are your shoulders forward? If so, bring them back. Are your elbows out? If so, bring them in. Is your butt up? Bring it down. Squeeze your knees. Press your feet in. Push into the floor. Lift. And above all, remember to breathe. That is the most important thing you should be doing. that is all I have for you today. And I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps. If you have any questions or concerns, please leave a comment down below and I will do my best to answer that question. Thank you.